It's time for our daily dose of cope. And this is how I look as I'm scrolling social media and seeing how much MAGA v. MAGA hate is going on. These people are falling apart at the seams, and I am here for it. These Republicans see the writing on the wall. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she said, I'm out of here. I'm going to wait until I can get my pension, but other dominoes are about to start falling. And so here we have another Republican in the very red state of Texas saying that he is resigning. He will not be seeking re-election in 2026. That's next year. The midterms are going to be so freaking messy, and I am here for it. All right, so it says Representative Troy E. Niels released a statement. It says, after more than 30 years in law enforcement, serving and protecting my community as a police officer, constable, Fort Bend County Sheriff, an Army veteran, and 6 years representing this district in Congress, I have made the decision after conversations with my beautiful bride and my girls over the Thanksgiving holiday to focus on my family and return home after this Congress. Before making this decision, I called President Trump personally to let him know of my plans. President Trump has always been a strong ally for our district and a true friend, and I wanted him to hear it from me first. Oh my goodness, how many people are going to make this decision? The dominoes are starting to fall. I am so freaking stoked. Evan Kilgore, extra MAGA, pumped that Donald Trump was going to make it safe for white men again, that women were going to be put back into the kitchen, that gay folks were going to be pushed back into the closet. He's extra MAGA, but he got pissed off about the Jeffrey Epstein files not being released. So this is him now. He says, I'm going to be honest. And keep in mind, he's a MAGA influencer, or was until like this past summer. He says, I'm going to be honest. I hate almost all right-wing influencers. They're all fake grifters and shields. They're all narcissistic opportunities and total hypocrites. And I'm totally sure he meant to say opportunist, but okay. All they care about is getting invited to Mar-a-Lago and the White House. They'll say whatever for money. I love all of these MAGA people coming out against other MAGA people. It makes my heart just go pitter patter. Let's talk about this MAGA Republican out of Indiana, Michael Boacek. So this was when times were good back last year in 2024. He says, Mike Boacek, proudly stand behind Donald Trump's 2024 presidential campaign in a time of unprecedented political division. I firmly believe in Trump's ability to lead our nation forward with strength, resilience, and a commitment to conservative values. He said this. He is all about it. Let's go. I endorse President Trump. Yes. Here's this headline from The Independent. It says, Republican state senator from Indiana says he will oppose redistricting after Trump's slur against Tim Walz. Now, keep in mind, Donald Trump was crashing out about an Indiana lawmaker named Rod Bray. And so here's Michael Boacek. This is from today. He says, many of you have asked my position on redistricting. I have been an unapologetic advocate for people with intellectual disabilities since the birth of my second daughter. Those of you that don't know me or my family might not know that my daughter has Down syndrome. This is not the first time our president has used these insulting and derogatory references, and his choices of words have consequences. I will be voting no on redistricting. Perhaps he can use the next 10 months to convince voters that his policies and behavior deserve a congressional majority. Ooh, he said, y'all, why not just put forth some good policy? How about that? Instead of trying to redistrict and gerrymander the hell out of everything, Michael Boacek said no. This person named Adam reshared that statement from Michael Boacek, saying Indiana Senate Republican Michael Boacek, whose daughter has Down syndrome, says he is a no on redistricting, citing Trump's slur. Kimberly, underneath that post, says, though I'm rarely surprised by the inane and insensitive garbage that comes out of Trump's mouth, it's mind-boggling that the president of the United States used such a demeaning term in an official post blast worldwide. I'm glad to see a Republican say something. More need to. And then this person named Whiskey Insurrectionist is talking about Michael Boacek right here, saying this guy was driving 3 times over the legal limit, but got off because of legislative immunity. And now he acts like some kind of moral paragon. If the Republicans in Indiana had guts, they would impeach him. So that's the thing. So many of them have dirt on the other politicians. None of these people, none of these men have any integrity, but what they do have is the fact that they have dirt on each other. So if one comes out and opposes Trump, then they all just throw their mud back on each other. And I'm like, fight, fight, fight. Now, this person named Fed Up American is also responding underneath the post of Adam Rand saying, I mean, clearly grab them by the pee, or you have to treat women like poop, or even being an adjudicated rapist. That wasn't a deal breaker. And then she says, translation, it took being personally affected to give us, and just for shits and giggles, let's not forget this. Let's not forget this gem where Donald Trump was making fun of a disabled man, a disabled journalist. He was mocking the hell out of that man right there. Donald Trump has never been a paragon of anything. He's always been decisive and vulgar and vile, but these people voted for him anyway. The libs of TikTok, remember this is a woman named Kaya. This is a person that was holding the binder that supposedly had the Epstein files. She likes Donald Trump using the R-word slur against Tim Walz. She says, Trump just called Tim Walz the R-word slur, saying we are so back because this is what this country needs. We need Donald Trump using the R-word slur against Tim Walz. Yes. And to that, Michael Nella says, it's a party of petty grievances with no plan to improve your life. Nothing that Donald Trump is doing right now is helping anyone else. But yeah, she's happy about this. So we know the Hodge twins. The Hodge twins are some MAGA influencers. They're extra Trumpy. But here lately, they have been coming for other MAGA people. So here they are talking about Dan Bongino. They said, stop crying about the job you signed up for, Dan Bongino. This screenshot right here just fits so perfectly. Look at this picture. He just looks frazzled. This is the quote, though, from Dan Bongino saying, I gave up everything for this. I mean, my wife is struggling. I stare at these 4 walls all day in DC, by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated. And it's hard. You could go back to being a podcaster. But remember, he is a podcaster that was all about, let's get these Epstein files out. And they look so downtrodden. Many of these people look so downtrodden because they know that Donald Trump is all in and through these files and they can't say anything. I love that. I love that he looks so terrible. Here's the Hodge twins again coming for Lindsey Graham. The Hodge twins says, Lindsey Graham is a traitor. Why does Trump keep supporting him? And then they're sharing this from Paul Dans. Who is Paul Dans? He is a candidate for the U.S. Senate to retire Lindsey Graham. Trump 45. He is pro-Trump. Project 2025 chief architect. So that's who Paul Dans is. And he's sharing this clip of Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is somebody that was actually going for the Afghans to be resettled here. So Paul Dans says, President Trump, here's the stupid person who ushered in the unvettable Afghan militants. Is not only the left and Biden at fault. And then he gives a quote from Lindsey Graham. They, Afghan militants, need to stay. This will be their new home. We have a moral obligation to these people. They will make great citizens over time. Senator, you have a moral obligation to the American people. You have blood on your hands. Shame on you. I'm loving the Hodge twins Twitter page. Right here, they're saying Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche need to be fired immediately. They don't like the handling of the Epstein files, and I am here for this. Fight, fight, fight.
Get this done. This is the right thing to do. There's no other ending that is acceptable to me. The people who were there with us in the fight that are here in America need to stay. This will be their new home. So we have a moral obligation to these people. They will make great citizens.
We have more leopards are feasting, more cope for today. So this woman named Diane George, she posted this saying, things are getting very interesting in our country and across the world. Things were already interesting as we have seen so much biblical prophecy unfolding in recent years, but things are now getting very interesting. The U.S. is seeing a rise of socialist Democrat politics, not just in New York City, by the way. Political agendas are being sold as progress. This part right here, but socialism leans heavily towards state control, redistribution, and dependency. Put that in your back pocket. If the new New York City mayor is allowed to fully implement everything he's promising, the same people celebrating today will be the ones dealing with tax hikes and budget shortages tomorrow. Funds will dry up and collide with economic reality. So let them run this experiment. Many life lessons are learned the hard way, and history has a funny way of repeating itself. Let it play out and let those results speak louder than theories. Stay prayed up and put your hope and trust in God alone, not man, not any man, and definitely not in politics. Watch and see the importance of free will and the impact of the choices we make in life. Some are temporal and some are eternal. Diane. All right, so this is what Diane said. Here she is back this summer sharing a post from Ken Blackwell. Not going to read through this, just the top part saying, let's pause and take a long, honest look at this man, a man who should be resting comfortably in a retirement most people can only dream of, a billionaire in his late 70s with every reason to disappear from public life and enjoyed the fruits of his labor. He built a real estate empire, raised a strong family, created jobs, earned the respect of business leaders across the globe, and lived in luxury most of us will never experience. And yet he didn't fade away. He didn't chase beach houses and board seats. He didn't cash in like so many others. No, this man walked straight into the political furnace and offered to work for us. Talking about Donald J. Trump. And just to be sure, she is definitely pro-Trump. Here's one more thing that she shared. So this is from the Department of State. I hope the whole nation understands how incredibly proud they should be of their president. A quote from Little Marco Rubio. Fast forward to now. Here is Diane George talking to Donald J. Trump on his Facebook page. We are patiently waiting for prices to come down. Unfortunately, federal cuts have hurt my elderly mother, my mom, and other seniors. My mother received a notice that there will be no HEAP money available. Why would you cut funding that helps people to heat their homes? So she needs a redistribution of money to her elderly mother. Why would she need that? She doesn't think that should be done. I suggest that she gets she gets prayed up first and foremost, because she said that earlier. Get prayed up and then get her mother some bootstraps. A few days ago, Tucker Carlson let Nikki F., the white supremacist, come onto his podcast. He basically propped up this person who's a white supremacist and a misogynist. So Tucker Carlson took to maybe this is his Facebook page, to say this. When we hear people say, well, the thing about Nikki F. is he's a misogynist. He doesn't like women. And then he says, maybe there's some truth in that. And that's bad, but it's not so much immoral as it is depressing. It's not immoral to hate women, according to Tucker Carlson. If you hear a young man say, I prefer corn to girls, or they're all basically ladies of the night, which is kind of the argument that you hear, you should be very upset by that, very sad about that, and mindful of what that's going to mean in 20 years on every level. On the most obvious level, who's going to make the babies? But on a deeper, more human level, how much misery is that? A lot. So if you're adding to that, if you're attacking young men once again for how they are born, you are the problem, and you share some of the responsibility for the results, for the bad attitudes that will inevitably form in the face of your hectoring. So if you get mad at men saying that they hate women, you're part of the problem. That is what I heard. He's saying, it's bad for them to say this about women. But if you get upset with that, who's going to make the babies? And you're going to be partly responsible. He says, it's your fault too. It's our fault too. That's just true. And now we've reached to a point where it's at an actual crisis, and our leaders are not responding in a way that's going to make it better because they're caught up in their own dramas, their own tribal dramas, their own personal dramas. It's all about them always. So when a man says, I hate women, or they strip them of their rights, or they shouldn't have bodily autonomy, what are women supposed to say to that? You're not supposed to get upset with this. There is going to be a continued divergence of men and women, and these young men are continually going to repel women. They're going to keep repelling. These teenage boys are repelling young girls. But the thing is, what are you supposed to say to this? Are you supposed to welcome these people that hate you? Tucker Carlson has lost his dang on mind. Now we have Morgan. Morgan is responding. She says, I agree with a lot of what Nick says. So she's probably fine with the whole white nationalism part of it. She says, I just can't get behind his views on women. As a woman who votes conservatively, pays taxes, owns property, and is teaching my beautiful daughters to do the same, I take issues with Nick saying that he would take away women's right to vote. If I don't get a vote, I shouldn't have to pay taxes. I agree with Morgan. And this is going to be where a lot of white women have to come in and make a decision. Are you going to vote for white nationalism, or are you going to vote to keep your own rights? Are you going to continue to vote with these people who want to make sure that you are not a fully actualized human with rights? They're going to have to make this decision, because if it were left up to these white men, they would keep on stripping away our votes. So Nature's Barber says, Morgan Stone, you get to vote and don't have to register for the draft. Michael Cimino says, you want it both ways. Jesse says, well, then you should start fighting for equality for women to sign up for the draft as well. So they want to keep on talking about the draft, even though women can join the military and do join the military, even though we have Pete Hegseth that's trying to kick women out. Oh man, and there is a whole lot going on with this whole Pete Hegseth stuff. This is not really Leopards Are Feasting. This is just news. So remember, they are sitting up here blowing people up in the water. And many of these people are taking orders, and the orders are illegal. They should be against the law. You're not supposed to just unalive people without due process. And that is what these people are doing. They are war criminals. So this is just blowing up just now. Secretary Hegseth declines to comment on the report that boat survivors were unalived as a result of his orders to military. So they blew up the boat. There were a couple of survivors, and they ordered the people to shoot down the remainder, those two men who survived the blast. This person named Phil says, under the laws of war, you never attack anyone who is hors de combat, shipwrecked, wounded, defenseless, or already in your power. Those two men clinging to the wreckage were exactly that. Ordering their death anyway crosses an even brighter line. The ban on no quarter, the absolute rule that you do not take out people who cannot fight back. Every commander knows this. Every officer is trained on it. These aren't obscure legal theories. They are the bedrock of lawful command. So this is the reason why they got really upset when the war veterans who are in Congress came up and made this video saying you need to not do these illegal orders. Don't do these illegal orders, because they know that the Trump administration, that they're doing these war crimes. Phil continues, yet the Secretary of Defense still gave the order to take out everybody after the first strike, after operators saw survivors in the water, after it was clear they posed no threat. A second missile was launched just to finish the job. Hegseth didn't make a tough call. He made an unlawful one. So saying to these people, don't do these illegal orders, has the Trump administration up in arms, because they know that they're out here doing illegal things. All right, y'all, I'll end it there. Y'all let me know what you think.